This is Motor Yacht Fee, delivered to her owner at the end of 2021, seen here on a maiden trip, and only trip as it turned out, shortly after delivery, which was to London. So the yacht was built by Royal Husband in the Netherlands. She's 58 meters in length, which is 191 feet. She's actually the largest yacht in the world in the sub 500 gross ton category. This yacht is 495 gross tons. The yacht travelled, as we said, in a maiden voyage to London. She went to Canary Wharf, where she was visiting for the World Superyacht Awards. Now this was at the end of 2021. Early in 2022, the yacht was due to leave, and the day they were due to leave, they called to have the bridge raised so they could exit Canary Wharf area. It's a road bridge that has to be raised for vessels to go in and out. They were told that the bridge was out of order, it wasn't working, so they'd have to wait. The following day, the yacht was raided by the National Crime Agency. Now the NCA said basically that the reason why the vessel was raided was because they had determined that it was owned by a Russian, but they said that the ownership of the vessel was deliberately well hidden. Now they're referring to the fact that there's a company in, I think it was actually St. Kitts, and it's got a Maltese flag, but that is standard operating procedure for any yacht you look at, regardless of who owns it. The then Minister for Transport, Grant Shapps, who was standing outside of the vessel just after it was raided, making a TikTok video, he said that the vessel was owned by a Russian oligarch who was a close friend of the Russian president. Now it should be noted that at the time of the arrest, the owner was not on any sanctions lists. Now little did we know, but this was the beginning of an almost 2-year imprisonment of this yacht in London. Now it's reported by a number of websites that the owner's name is Vitaly Kochetkov. However, in July of 2023, the owner sued the UK government to have the vessel released, and the name of the owner on the paperwork, which was presented by the lawyers, the lawsuit, the name was Sergei Naumenko. At this point, the vessel had been detained for 14 months in London. Now, the owner said in the lawsuit that he had never been involved in political activities, he had no connections with the Russian president, and that the boat was detained by the UK just to look tough. The UK government's lawyer argued that the yacht was detained as Naumenko fits the criteria of a person connected with Russia. The judge, referring to the statement by Grant Shapps on the owner being a friend of Putin, he said was wrong, but he said that in doing so was excusable political hyperbole. The government's lawyer said sanctioning a luxury yacht sends a signal to other super rich Russians and can potentially deter them from giving political support to the Russian regime or tolerating its actions. Naumenko argued that the UK is effectively trying to compel him to criticize the Russian president or the Russian government without considering the adverse impact on him and his business at home. However, the UK court rejected this. Judge Cranston ruled that the UK government had a lot of leeway in this type of action, saying the Secretary of State is entitled to a broad margin of discretion in deciding how the detention power is to be exercised in pursuit of the government's foreign policy aims. Now, when the court case finished, the captain of the vessel said that they would appeal that decision. Now, where the boat is currently berthed in Canary Wharf is designed for short stays. There is currently, and there has been for the last 18 months, so I think, a building site not 200 meters away from where the yacht's location is, and that is not ideal circumstances for a yacht. Sorry about the noise, by the way, the building over here, so if it comes across on the mic, I apologize, nothing I can do about it. Now, the people close to the vessel have told us that they've been trying to have the vessel moved to another place in the UK, but to move to a more suitable location so as to limit the damage that is occurring to the vessel's paintwork. Obviously, it's very expensive to paint a vessel. They also cannot get services there, that you would get in a normal marina. Now, for a long time, the UK government has said that this is not going to be allowed, but they did fairly recently agree to it. However, it is for the National Crime Agency to work out the logistics of such a move, and they are apparently dragging their heels on actually, allowing this to happen. Now, where would they take the yacht if they were allowed to move it? Probably somewhere like Southampton or Portsmouth, maybe somewhere that has proper facilities for a super yacht, and somewhere where they can get marine services. Remember, this yacht has been sat there now for almost 2 years. Okay, so that brings us up to date. It's now January 2024 as we make this video. In May of this year, May 2024, it will be 2 years since the vessel was detained. In that time, you would imagine that the owner, regardless of whether it's Kochikov or Namenko, you would say that they probably found something on him by now, right? Added him to the sanctions list, as they've done with all of the other people that have been sanctioned. But no, they haven't found anything still after 2 years, and I'm sure it's not for the want of trying, right? I'm sure they've been looking to find something to put on him so they can sanction him, to warrant the detention of his vessel. But after 2 years, they still have nothing. Now, when we make videos like this, in the comments section, we'll always get a mixed bag of comments, which is, what comment sections are about. But one of the things that we always get is people saying that it's wrong that somebody should have his yacht detained purely because he's Russian. Now, in every other instance of a vessel being detained or a vessel being sanctioned, placed on a blocked list, there is a reason for it, right? And we put on screen the reason why that particular person has been added to the sanctions list, such as, supplying, their companies are supplying armaments to the Russian military, or they are supplying raw materials to companies that make ammunition and explosives and stuff like that. So there's usually always a reason for that person to be added to a sanctions list. And as we have pointed out in other videos, there are Russian billionaires who are yacht owners who are not on the sanctions list. As in recent video that we did on Dmitry Robolev, he's not been sanctioned and his vessel is currently, I think it's in Greece. If he was on the sanctions list, his yacht would not have been in that location. So there are people out there who are influential Russians who are not on the sanctions list. So it's not a case of them just being added because they're Russian. Except in this case, like we said, the owner of this vessel is not on any sanctions lists. He's not been connected to any of those activities, and yet his vessel remains blocked and detained in London. So the captain said that they would appeal the decision, and that is exactly what's happening. Next week in London at the appeals court, they are appealing the decision of the prior court to allow the government to detain that yacht. Of course, we will bring you more when we have it. We're going to be following that case, and we'll bring you an update as soon as we have something for you.